Welcome back to our channel. I am your host, AS The Million, and it's a pleasure to have you with us again for this informative series on mediation. In today's episode, I will explain the various steps in the mediation process from the initial step to the final settlement. If you have wondered how a dispute moves from conflict to resolution with the help of a neutral mediator, this episode is for you. The mediation process begins with an agreement signed by the parties in their contract that in the event of a dispute or disagreement, it will be resolved by mediation. The important first step can be in various ways apart from the mediation clause in the contract. The court can order mediation. Once the agreement is in place, the next vital step is selecting a mediator. The mediator is a neutral third party with no interest in the outcome and whose job is to facilitate a fair and constructive dialogue between the parties. Now, the formal proceedings begins in the first joint session. The mediator explains the roles and the process of mediation. Then, each party gets a chance to explain their side of the issue without interruption. As they speak, the mediator listens closely, not just the words, but also to the feelings and interests behind them. The mediator starts to identify the main issues and outline possible paths to resolution suitable to the parties. The mediator will hold separate private sessions with the parties known as caucuses. This can happen in person or online. During these caucuses, the space is safe. Parties can speak more openly, explore their real interests, and think of possible solutions without the pressure of other parties being present. During these moments, the mediator emphasizes key principles of mediation. Everything discussed is confidential. The process is non-binding until an agreement is formally reached. Their role is to facilitate, not to judge. After these private sessions, the mediator begins putting together the information. They guide the process with an understanding of each party's views, interests, and goals. They may gather relevant documents or claims to fully understand the situation. Through open-ended questions, they help reframe negative statements into neutral, solution-focused language. When emotions run high, the mediator knows how to keep the conversation productive and serves as a reality checker. This approach helps parties shift from idealistic positions to realistic decision making. As negotiations continue, the mediator facilitates communication, relying offer, counter offers, and even innovative solutions, all without revealing the source, which helps maintain momentum. But the mediator's role is more than just passing message. They keep the parties move beyond their rigid positions. Instead of just asking, what do you want? They encourage them to explore, why do you want it? This shift from positions to interest leads to discovering common ground. It is how parties transition from a win-lose situation to creating a workable, mutually beneficial situation. Through series of offers and counter-offers managed by the mediator, the parties start to agree on a solution and agreement begins to take shape. At this point, the mediator brings everyone back together to finalize the terms. Once the terms are set, they are documented in writing. This is not just a formality. The agreement must be clear, specific, and legally sound. All parties, often with their lawyers, review it thoroughly before signing. The mediator wraps up the process by overseeing the final signing, turning the agreement into a binding contract. They will also clarify any steps needed to implement the agreement to avoid any confusion going forward. What then happens if no agreement is reached? Mediation can still be successful without a settlement. The mediator discusses the next steps, whether it means returning to court, considering arbitration, or scheduling another mediation session. The aim is for everyone to live with a clear understanding of the outcome and a way forward, without wasting time or resources. That's a straightforward, well-structured, and effective mediation process. This brings us to the end of today's section. Stay tuned for our next episode and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.